Draw me close to you. Closer to you. Draw me close to you. Closer to you. Draw me close to you. Closer to you. There is joy here. Closer to you. There is peace here. Closer to you. So much love here. Closer to you. All I need here. Closer to you. So would you draw me close? So that if I seek you, I'ma always find you. Said that you were near to those who call on you in truth. Well, I'm calling and I'm looking for you. I see you in the rain and feel you in the sunlight. I hear you in the wind and see you in my children's eyes. But I'm still looking, and I'm still needing so much more. Draw me close to you, closer to you. 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 There is joy here, closer to you. There is peace here, closer to you. So much love here, closer to you. All I need here, closer to you. So would you draw me close? Being where you are, there's nothing like it. No, I never fought in my heart and fight it always. Make me more aware of you, so I can see you in everything. Yeah. I see you in the rain, feel you in the sunlight. I hear you in the wind, see you in my children's eyes. But I'm still looking, I'm still needing so much more. Oh, would you draw me close to you? Closer to you. Draw me close to you. Closer to you. Draw me close to you. Closer to you. Draw me close to you. Closer to you. There is joy here. Closer to you. There is peace here. Closer to you. There is love here. Closer to you. All I need here. Closer to you. So would you draw me close? Yeah, draw me close. Yeah. I still need more of you. Hold your head high. No more tension. No more tension. Doing anything. The sky is the limit. Hold your head up. Hold your head high. No more tension. No more tension. Doing anything. The sky is the limit. This road hasn't been easy, no it ain't. Times I said just forget it. Sometimes you may have to walk alone.
All right. We're ready whenever you are, Pastor Chris. If you're not following us on TPV Radio, we are there as well. I feel like we're at signals. And if you
Good morning. You have now tuned in to Conversations with Jo and Jae.
Right now on TPV Radio. Right now on TPV Radio.
Facebook and Instagram. Good morning. So anyway, We are broadcasting live today from, I forgot to turn my headset on. From Texas A&M, Central Texas College. And yeah, thank you all for joining us. If you're not following us on Instagram, make sure you do so. Make sure you share the page as well as TPV Radio. So we're going to get started with the show for the day. So our topic is resentment and forgiveness, and how forgiveness is for you. So Joe's going to give us the definition.
Yes, actually, I split, and I'm going to define both words as forgiveness. Forgiveness, the definition from the excuse me, from the Webster's dictionary was kind of choppy, so I kind of put it together so that it would flow a little better and it's a little understandable. But the definition is to cease, to feel resentment, to cease the feel of resentment against an offender, to give up resentment of or claim of an insult, to grant relief from payment of or forgive a debt.
Okay.
And so that was the Webster's dictionary definition. But I even went a little further to, the biblical definition. The biblical definition is the process of forgiving someone or being forgiven as illustrated in the Bible. Forgiveness itself is defined as the letting go of sin. In the Bible, this includes forgiving everyone, every time, of everything as an act of obedience and gratefulness of God. And so that just kind of gives you some thoughts about what does forgiveness look like. And then bitterness, and bitterness is anger and disappointment at being treated unfairly, resentment. The main definition for bitterness was the lack of sweetness. I thought that was kind of interesting. It's the number one. When you look it up in the dictionary, they'll have 1 and 2 of what bitterness means. And bitterness, it says the lack of sweetness. And I think we can take that into account as well when we're dealing with people. It is synonymous. Bitterness is synonymous with resentment and envy. So those are the definitions. If you think about forgiveness and you think about the bitterness and what we're going in today, because if we decide not to forgive, if that's something that we do, that usually affects us more than anybody else. And why? It's because of that bitterness, that resentment, that envy, all of those things that set in on you that make you, that are not good for you. That's something that settles into yourself.
Right.
So
I think, when we touch on feeling resentment towards someone, I think about how someone made you feel, right? And I know, like, a lot of people are like, nobody can make you feel any type of way, but there's an effect, there's an influence, if you will. If someone lies to you, you know what I mean, and you're like, wow, that's how you feel about me, and so you have some type of resentment about it. But I think ultimately, it is trying to have some type of compassion, right? Have some type of grace. I always tell people, like, give a little bit of grace, because in the event, if someone does anything to harm or offend, right? Because I know we all get offended. We all, a lot of people are sensitive. My mom always called me sensitive growing up, but it really was just the fact that I expected more from people. I expected just that respect and that care from people in a way where when they did something to me, I'm like, oh, that's how you feel about me. That's how you think of me, to do whatever offense it is.
So
go ahead.
The biggest thing that I'm thinking about, just what you just said, and the biggest thing is unfortunately, and that's the reason why I had given the biblical look at it as well, because what happens with that is, because of sin in the world, because of that we're not perfect beings, there are a lot of times, not all the time, there are times that people will do things on purpose, or, people will do things on accident, or because of the things that are going on in their own life.
Right.
So, one of the things that makes it easier actually to forgive, I think, is just thinking about the fact that no one is perfect, and it's not always about the person. It's not always
life
about,
experiences.
right, exactly. And so we can't, I don't always take that to heart, what somebody else does. Is that easy? Is that something? Because, you talk about being sensitive. Yeah, you talk about being sensitive. I mean, definitely. Growing up, that was one of the things that I was very sensitive. But just in my old age, in my old age, I've become more like, oh, okay, yeah, that made me feel some kind of way. But then I think about, well, what's going on with that other person that
that
did
takes
that?
maturity,
Yeah.
because man, it took years.
Right.
it
And-
takes years and experiences to understand. Okay, that person may be, you think about the person at the grocery store, and she's snatching your groceries and bringing up. You're like, dang, what my groceries do to you? But you got to think, like, she may have just came from home or had a hard time getting to work. The car broke down. The kids is fussing in the morning. They back to school. There's so many different influences, so many different situations, life situations that we don't take into account that people may be experiencing,
Right.
and they're projecting that.
Right. And so the awesome thing about that is that we can control our environment. Believe it or not, we can control our environment. So with that same example with the grocery store, I know that's one thing that I do, because I despise going to the grocery store. I get impatient. I don't want to wait in a line. But something that I will do to change my environment for me is that, that same lady that's, snatching groceries and doing that stuff. And I'm looking at her, and so how are you doing today? And so I flip it.
People hate that.
Yes.
Because when people are in a bad mood, they want to stay in a bad mood. They're like, don't mess with my bad mood. It's my bad mood.
Right. But you push their bad mood back on them.
Right.
And you take it off of you because
Right.
of the way that you responded to it. So I gave a
maturity.
smile. Yes.
Yeah.
If I give a smile, I'll smile at them and
Right.
everything. And usually they have to, especially since they're at work, they're
Right.
going to smile back at you. And you're going to go, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm have the gift of gab, so I will strike up a conversation anyway.
Right.
If you're going to try to control my environment by doing something negative, I'm going to go back and control your environment by my own environment by creating something positive.
Right.
So that is one of the things that I will do. And that's for me. And people are like, oh, that's so sweet. Bitterness is lack of sweetness. So, oh, that's so sweet. That's so sweet that you do that. Well, actually, it's self-preservation.
Right.
Because if I have the bitterness,
first law of nature.
right? So exactly, and
Yeah.
so if that person is being ugly, and then I take on that ugliness,
Right.
of whatever the other person is saying
Kill
or
them with
doing,
kindness.
right? If I do that, then I'm going to leave the store. I don't know why she was
Right.
grabbing my groceries.
And then you be in your
and
feelings.
and you take it with you.
Right.
And you take it with you. And then somebody cuts you off on the highway. And then you got more bitterness.
What was the movie you told me to watch? I still forgot to watch it.
Oh my gosh, that movie. What movie was
We're
that?
not on that. But
it was, yeah, he had lots of bitterness.
What was anyway, tell me about the movie later.
Actually, what happened in that situation is extremely a part of what we're talking about today. And in the movie, the guy actually found his wife cheating on him, and he burned them up in the house.
Oh.
So yeah, that was a little. But so he had all kinds of things going on in his life, and then he got on the highway.
Oh.
He got on the highway, and this lady, because she's talking to her kid, she's like, "Oh, I gotta get to school. I'm late." Da 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 da, and she cuts him off. But in her household, she had all this stuff. Her brother was there. Da 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 da. All of just boom 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 boom. And so she cuts him off. She really didn't see him. But then after she cut him off, he's going to pull up next to her and just look at her like, are you going to say, excuse me, or whatever? And she was already bitter and upset about the day.
Right.
And so then she ends up, telling him, I'm not going to I'm not gonna say I'm sorry.
It was an accident.
Yeah, you're gonna pull up to my car and all
People are not complete jerks on the road most of the time.
Right. And so, but it continues to go on, and well, he ends up trying to kill her, and he kills part of her family. Yeah. So it is.
You're gonna have to tell us what the movie is eventually.
I forget what the name of the movie.
But I think the biggest thing is like,
y'all help me. I forgot the name.
The effects, right? So the effects that we take on, and how, you know, we don't have to. I posted something years ago, and it was like, people won't do you any kind of way if you don't allow them to.
Right.
And it was this whole big old like back and forth thing with like some of my Facebook friends, because they're like, yes, they will. People will do. No, but I mean, if you don't
let
give people that control over your life, over your feelings, over your emotions, then, I mean, because if somebody's having a bad day, that's on them, all right? Or if someone who's close to you says something or does something to you that affects you, but you don't have to give them that power and that control to know that, hey, I got to you. Yeah, because there's some people that will get to you on purpose.
Narcissist.
Yeah. Poor narcissists. I kind of feel bad for them. I do.
Okay.
A little bit. I don't know. It's compassion. Forgiveness. So, because forgiveness is for you, right?
Exactly.
Forgiveness is not for the other person.
Right. It's not for the other person. It is for you. But what happens also, you know, you change your environment for yourself.
Right.
But actually, the funny thing is just like bitterness and negativity can affect the atmosphere, so can positivity affect the atmosphere.
Right.
When you see,
I know people can't stand me. They'd be like, she is always happy and smiling.
Well, but you know what? But I don't think that's
what it is.
I don't think that's always true. I think there are people that, you know, will walk through or stuff, just like the you know, how are you doing to the lady at the grocery store.
Yeah.
Then the person behind you is watching that.
Right.
Instead of getting this image of bitterness back and forth and negativity back and forth, they see this positive.
Yeah.
And you'll see sometimes it'll make the other person smile.
Right.
So positive, just like negative can spread, like it is today in this world, it's spreading.
Yeah.
So can positivity. And so can, and forgiveness is that positive part, is because it changes your attitude.
Right.
It changes the attitude.
It gets hard.
It does.
When it's a personal, right? When it's not grocery store, when it's not daycare center, or, you know, or wherever, when it's personal, when it's someone close to you, and you're truly trying to work on forgiveness of someone, and you really have to be in the mindset to know that forgiveness is for yourself, not for that other person, because you could forgive someone and they still got an attitude, and they still treat you like crap, you know, and they still like talk about you behind you or whatever. But in your mind and in your heart, you're like, I forgave them, you know, whatever offense they did or what have you, like, I forgave them because it's gonna make me feel better, it's gonna cleanse my spirit, you know, or whatever the case is. But it's difficult when the person is not receptive to the forgiveness.
And so a lot of times, and I think about what are some things that you can do for that. And actually in couples counseling, which I don't like to do, but in couples counseling, a lot of times it's getting away from the situation at the moment.
Right.
You know, sometimes when you offend, all right, Chris, Pastor Chris, and sometimes when you offend someone, sometimes when you, or you're in a, you know, you're going back and forth and there's an offense.
Right.
Sometimes you got to pull yourself away so you can think in your own mind and go, okay,
you know
what is this about? Just to think about it, because our first thought process, our first thought is to automatically go to the negative. You're going to react negatively.
Right.
It's an interesting person that will automatically go to the positive, and that's that maturity thing that you were saying.
Right.
Is if they automatically go to, okay, oh, okay, they're having a bad day, or oh, okay, this is this and this and this. Oh, okay, they misunderstood. Oh, okay, there's this. It takes a really mature person to do that.
I think, like, ultimately, like, putting yourself in that person's shoes. Like, I'm personally, just being transparent, I'm in therapy right now, and I'm working on that with my therapist. It's like, okay, this person offended me, or this person is resentful towards me, but I maturity is telling me, like, okay, what is that person experiencing, or what did I do to provoke, right? Because sometimes that's the thing, you know, like we may provoke and we don't know
Our
or
own
we don't
hurt,
realize.
our own pain.
And we're projecting, but I had to put
Sometimes.
myself like in that person's shoes, like, okay, yeah, they have a valid reason for being, you know, upset or angry or frustrated. But that takes maturity, because 10 years ago me would have been like, get over it. You know, like, that's too bad you feel that way. Pastor Chris said offense is our biggest hurdle to overcome, but it is possible if you choose it. Yes, absolutely.
One of the things that and it keeps coming to my mind to say is one of our pastors at my church way a long time ago had this saying, and he said, hurting people hurt people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hurting people hurt people. And that's kind of the thing that I kind of, you know, throw in my mind when I'm thinking about something and just like it's hard for me to get past. And I think about hurting people hurt people.
But they don't have to.
So, no, but
it's a choice.
It is a choice.
Yeah.
But we have to remember what level are people at.
Human
just like
nature,
you were saying,
right.
You know, it takes maturity. Well, some of those people haven't reached that maturity yet.
And society is really much in the mind frame of like, I'm gonna do to you what you did to me.
Right.
And it's like, but what are we achieving? what do we accomplish by
hurting people?
And it's like, all right, so you did that, and then I would hope people are remorseful, you know, like, okay, man, I didn't have to go, I didn't have to do all that, I didn't have to tell them off all like that, you know, it wasn't that serious or whatever. But I think that it's unfortunate, you know, and I remember the saying back in the day too, like, hurt people hurt people. No, I don't want to restart my computer. Remind me tomorrow. But it's unfortunate because, you know, even like with, you know, with so many different things in the world, you know, with hurting people, hurt people, or with hurt people, hurting people, it's like you have that choice. You have the ultimate decision-making skills, hopefully, that you're like, you know what, this person, let's just go back to the grocery store. This person crushed my chips, smashed my bread, you know, or whatever the case is. That don't mean I have to react. That doesn't mean that I have to give into, though I'm just gonna go get me another bag of chips and another loaf of bread, you know, or whatever the case is. But we don't have to take on those emotions that people project on us. We don't have to hurt people because they hurt us, you know, and that's maturity. You know, like having the right mindset to know.
I think it's very important to one of the things is to, because there is so much negativity that breeds bitterness, that breeds resentment, that breeds all of that, is that for us to actually think about what are the positive things that we can actually add to the atmosphere. You know, there has to be a balance, but I think especially in today's world, I think people are even more sensitive than they have been in the past. It is
completely heightened.
And I think it's because of all of the negativity that's being projected into the world. So we're
going through it right now, but we gonna get through it, y'all.
Right. We
keep being positive and keep being in the mindset that it's just, man, this is the longest season ever. Because like when you said that, I thought about, like, I get offended and I feel resentful when people cough and they don't have a mask on. Ew. You know, like,
it is worse than it was before. And I know that, you know, I that is one thing that I always thought was gross.
Right.
You know, if somebody coughing.
Absolutely.
That's nasty.
Absolutely. But now it's heightened.
Right. Now you're like, you know, you want to give them the look and get the eye contact. Like, are you serious?
Oh, man, my facial expressions, y'all know.
Right. But the funny thing is that, you know, just us being mindful. You know, I even thought about, speaking of the masks, and I even thought about it in my mind. It's like, well, how many people am I going to pass? How many people am I going to, you know, be, you know, involved with? It's just you and I sitting here. It's like, okay. So I kind of think about where I'm going.
Right.
Yesterday, we had our ribbon cutting, and I was even thinking about how many people are going to be there.
Right.
How many people are gonna. So, you know, how many people are going to how many people are going to be there?
Yeah.
And so I try to be mindful, but I wish that other people would be mindful as well.
Sure.
Yeah. And then, washing your hands. That's been a thing all of our life.
Oh, I was going to say that the other day. Was I at a restaurant? I feel like I was. And the worker, she just rinsed her hands off. And I was like, that's why COVID is real. No, she just... Anyway, I'm feeling resentful. No, but yeah, we had the graduation here at A&M on Friday. Quite a few people, probably a good 1,000, if not more.
And I talk about choice. You do have choice for your own environment.
Right.
You do have choice, but we do have to remember, just like with bitterness and forgiveness,
right.
and all of those things, they do have it depends on what we do with it. Mm-hmm. It depends on what we do with it. Yes, yep. Even with someone coughing, we can make a decision. We can make a decision though, because if people start coughing and there's too many people in the room, deuces. I'm out. So, but I made the decision, right? I'm like, right. Okay, you're not going to affect my environment way. I'm out.
When you know better, you do better, right? Yeah. You hope it's surety, But I just. Deliver me, Lord. I just feel like
from the coffee people.
I feel like
the coughing people, not the coffee people. I don't want to be delivered from that.
I feel like when it comes to forgiveness, it is truly for us. I'm going through some stuff right now, and I really just feel like I'm not going to do people how they do me. You know what I mean? Because I want people to treat me how I treat them. That's not always the case, unfortunately. But what can we do? We keep striving, we keep striving, because if we aspire to, I don't know, it sounds cliche, but make the world a better place, we have to lead by example.
It starts with you. That is a statement, and that is it does sound cliche, but why does it have to be cliche? It's the truth.
It is what it is.
You do create in your atmosphere. You create a vibe,
right?
If you could say, in your atmosphere, and that's that's spiritually and biblically in any way that you think.
Right.
That you do affect the environment.
Yeah.
From where you are, and so just looking at positivity, just looking at what you project.
Right.
Because people are going to make a decision about it. Because there are people that even if you do project something like you were saying, some people will, even though you project positivity, that other person may choose to continue in the negativity.
Right.
But
regardless,
the positivity is still there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then maybe they'll think about it later. Maybe they'll feel like, wow, you know what? I was not nice to that customer.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't deserve that.
And then makes you think about what's going on with yourself.
Right.
Self-reflection. I think Pastor Chris talked about self-reflection.
Yeah.
Self-reflection is the key to wholeness. So you have affected that person in their life, because they are going to think about that, because it's different than what they're used to getting.
Right.
People are being nasty.
There's
a line all the time.
I think about burning calories, smiling. Burns calories.
I burn a lot of calories.
And I think about the energy that it takes to be upset and to be angry and to be frustrated. That takes so much energy, and it makes you so tired, and then you get the wrinkles in the bags. Black does crack. Don't let them fool you. But I feel like just the amount of energy that it takes to be upset, it's not worth it for me. It's not.
And it's self-defeating, because if we're constantly thinking about the negative, then it is taking a toll on us. And that's the bitterness. That's that deep. One of the things I tell my clients is that all of that is creating a chemical imbalance. Number one, it's creating poison in you. It's poisonous.
Yes.
That the chemicals that you put in your body about thinking about the negativity, you're like, well, you can't think about negativity and that creates a chemical. Yes, it does. Endorphins. If you're happy, what happens?
Listen.
Endorphins go off, and then that's a positive thing. So yes, negative is the same way.
I have an aunt. I'm not quite sure how old Auntie is. I'm gonna ask her. But she's up there. She's approaching 90, I believe.
Man.
that girl in great shape. Look, she in great shape. She skin look good, you know. She has a great aura about herself, and not a lot of the women in my family, or at least on my mother's side, are like that. But she is, and I always inquire, like, how do you stay so youthful and so vibrant? She's like, I keep the drama away, all the way away. You know, like, hey, leave that over there. You know, every now and then I think she'll dip her toe in, but for the most part, it's like, no, all that negative energy, all that, you know, if people are feeling resentful or living in unforgiveness, keep that over there. And she looks good, and so I could tell, you know, because I have other family members who are like 20 years younger than her, and they completely like, it's a wrap. It's a rap, you know, and it's like, yeah, life just,
but they allowed them
stomped
to.
them. Yeah,
they allowed them. We
Right.
allowed them. We had to, and it goes back to choices again. We allow it, even when we make mistakes.
Right.
We're gonna make mistakes.
We're human.
Guess what? We are going to make mistakes.
Yes.
We are going to make mistakes. We are. We have to go, we have to learn from those mistakes. We have to look at those mistakes and go, man, and not even in yourself, is to go back to that person and say, yo, you know what? My bad. I had a bad morning, and I'm
Right.
sorry. I apologize for speaking to you in that way.
Right.
And then that even creates positivity in the atmosphere.
Yep.
And so, and even if they don't accept it, even if they don't accept what you're saying,
Right.
it doesn't matter. You still create a positivity in the atmosphere. They're choosing that for themselves.
It's all a choice, and it's all in how we perceive and how we project. And so, I mean, we have resources.
Yes. You know what my biggest resource was? Yes.
Google.
No. Actually, the Bible. And so, so people, we talked about how we kind of respond. And the biggest thing in the New Testament is that Jesus showed us exactly how to respond to people and to talk to people, and how to forgive. And so that's my biggest resource today is the Bible. There are books on forgiveness. And that's definitely a Google thing. But the thing that laid on my heart today, as far as a resource, is in the New Testament. If we would look and see what Jesus did along the way, we would know. Okay, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. That's the reason why he came.
WWJD.
Yeah. What will you do, Jesus?
What's our quote for the week?
The quote for the week, and I do have one. And so, oh my goodness. Here it goes right here, because I want to say it right. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner is you. That's why I wanted to make sure I said it right. I had it.
I want to be a prisoner.
Yes, right. So the prisoner is you. So we have to. That's that forgiveness. So to forgive.
Thank you. We are so excited. It's fall. Fall is coming.
It is. Guess what? Fall blend. Starbucks fall blend came out. That's strange. That other stuff came out too. The stuff that starts.
I'm just ready for my next week's show. I'm super excited. Look, are we gonna bring examples? Anyway, y'all gonna have to tune in for next week's show. I'm super excited about. But thank you all for tuning in with us. You have now tuned in to Conversations with
Jo
and Jay. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week.